How good is the start?
It's a good start.
It's a great
Yeah,
start.
it's the first win.
And why do we play?
You play to win the game.
And what do we want?
I want winners.
I'm not bipartisan, I'm not bipolar, I'm not Biden.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there.
Bet Online is offering up to 50% bonuses for a welcome up to $250 in bets. They're also having a $1 million NFL survivor pool that costs you just $30. If you think you can win, and we're about winning over here, go to betonline.ag. Let them know that RJ sent you. I expect that you will take the information that you're garnering from here, friend, from other places around the interwebs and on the televisions and on the radios. And if you can get it from ET on high, to go win college football pools, to go pick them and win them. We're going to keep score over here. I'm going to pick games this year. We're going to pick them straight up because I don't really like messing with the spread. And I'm not interested in messing with the spread. I'm not interested in parlays. I'm interested in winning, baby. I want to know who's going to have the W and who's going to have the L at the end of each game. And I would like to see how many of those I'm right about or wrong about. I'm told that if I'm better at than 50% at this, I'm doing pretty good. We're going to find out beginning August 23rd. I'll pick out some games, probably go about 10 a week. Try to keep it pretty simple there. But visit Bet Online, who is proud to partner with Adapt and Respond for the start of the college football season. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on the stat mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Who do you think is going to be the number one team in the Associated Press poll when it drops at what we think is, I'm going to go ahead and say noon Eastern time, me and time zones, dog. 11 Central is where I live on Central time, so I end up talking in terms of Central time because that's the one I can trust. We're going to have a live show recapping the AP Top 25 preseason poll at noon Central right here on Adapt and Respond. And if you are listening to this after the fact, thanks so much. Remind you, we got a podcast on Apple and Spotify. I'm still sending out stickers to anybody that is kind enough to go to Apple, Spotify, leave us a 5-star review, and fill out the form in the description of the YouTube video, and I'll send you your sticker in the mail. So I'm looking at the AP's top 25, and I'm projecting what I think the 60 voters that have votes are going to do as a collective. Most votes, most points gets to number one and all the way down for the 136 teams that we have in FBS. So I'm going to start at number 25 and work my way up with a little bit of suspense. So at number 25, I've got Missouri. The coaches poll had Boise State. I think Missouri is going to get the benefit of the doubt from people that actually cover the sport day to day and don't necessarily just look at who's on the rosters and who they got to play week to week, like say the coaches poll. Missouri's also got 8 home games and a sweetheart schedule. They got a quarterback with some wheels in Bo Pribula. They got the best freshman transfer tailback in Ahmad Hardy, who rushed for over 1,300 yards at ULM. They brought Kevin Coleman in from Mississippi State. And if the defense is as good as it was last year, they can contend for a college football playoff spot. Then I got Oklahoma. I don't know how we can get to a spot where Oklahoma is left out of the coaches poll preseason top 25 for the first time since 1999, but there it is. Also in there, this is the first time that the coaches poll has left out Oklahoma, USC, and Nebraska in the same preseason poll since they started doing this in 1978. So wild thought there, but it's one worth sussing out when we talk about what college football looks like in 2025 from the name, image, and likeness standpoint to the revenue sharing standpoint to what it means to change conferences. USC, Nebraska join the Big Ten, then sorry. Oklahoma join the SEC is sorry. We'll see if that changes in 2025. I think that it will, and one of the reasons is Brent Venables is calling the defense. John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle, they got the offense. Jay Knott at tailback. Deion Burks is back. You get a couple more tailbacks than hold on to football. You get a couple of up-and-comers at wide receiver. You're going to be okay. R. Mason Thomas on that defensive line is going to be important for Oklahoma. The Bowen brothers got to be able to play. Both of those guys got to be healthy. And then we will see. Texas Tech, I got at number 23. All the money that has been poured into this program, notably by billionaire booster Cody Campbell, to go get a team that is capable of winning the Big 12 championship and playing in the college football playoff. And this ought to be as easy as it gets for Tech to get there. However, Texas Tech has not won more than 8 games since 2009. So if they can get to 9 this year, that ought to count as a win. But given the money that they poured in, you're going to expect so much more out of that Red Raiders team, starting with be a top 25 program. Excuse me. Hate it when I got a cough on air like that, man. A&M at number 22 for me is fine. Iowa State at 21, Kansas State at 20, Tennessee at 19, Indiana at 18, Southern Methodist at 17, Florida at 16, Ole Miss at 15, Michigan at 14, South Carolina at 13, Illinois at 12, Miami at 11, Arizona State at 10. Of that group, Indiana probably can move up the most given their schedule and given what people have had to say about Kurt Signetti, who doesn't believe that the 11 wins that they got last year ought to be dissimilar from this year. They're trying to get better. So they want to get to 11 and then to 12. They want to continue to move toward winning a national championship, if not the Big Ten championship. Remember, their only losses last year were to the 2 teams that played for the national title in the national title game, Notre Dame and Ohio State. Arizona State's probably going to have the hardest time holding on to that number 10 spot just because of how people feel about the Big 12, but they've done enough to earn that with Sam Levitt coming back. You're going to miss Cam Scatteraboo. There's no getting around that, but I think Kanye Udo can do that for you. He can help you out there. Jordan Tyson can be the best wide receiver in that league. Illinois is going to be interesting because they got a big one coming a little bit later against that Indiana team. Michigan's getting the benefit of the doubt because they won 8 games without a quarterback that could throw for more than 1,200 yards. Wild. 5.4 yards per attempt for Michigan's quarterbacks last year. Never going to be a team that throws the ball all over the yard, but certainly need to be a team that's good enough to get a 2,800-yard passer on the field. Other than that, Indiana, I said, can move up. Tennessee might move down, given what you have heard about Chris Braswell and what you expect from Joey Aguilar. Southern Methodist, we will see if they can repeat what they did in the ACC because, man, it's going to be difficult to run through that conference once again and not receive a regular season loss, which is what they did. Their first regular season loss in the ACC will be hasn't happened yet, right? That's it. They're undefeated in regular season ACC play. Remarkable for them. Kansas State's got everything to play for. Iowa State's got everything to play for. I mentioned those two because I think you could see both of them play for the Big 12 championship, but I could see 12, 13, 14 of the 16 teams in the Big 12 end up playing for the Big 12 championship. That's how deep that league is and how it's going to be so difficult to win. You're probably going to see the Big 12 champion with at least 2 losses, which is going to really hurt it getting a second team into the college football playoff because, as you know, the selection committee only cares about your resume, your wins and losses, and what conference you play in. Even then, it might not care. Just ask Boise State about that. Then we get into our top 9, right? LSU at 9, Alabama at 8, Oregon at 7, Clemson at 6, Notre Dame at 5, Penn State at 4, Georgia at 3, and I'll stop there for the time being. Penn State at 4, I think is what the AP is going to be. I don't agree with that, but I am projecting what I think the Associated Press is going to do here. There's been so much good conversation around Penn State and James Franklin and what they're chasing in 2025. But for me, it needs to be a smaller part of what Penn State is. The bigger part of what Penn State is in 2025 is a team that can or can't beat Ohio State and a team that can or can't win a top 5 matchup. Okay? I didn't say a top 5 matchup. I should just say a team with a 5 or better in front of its name. In the James Franklin era, Penn State is 1-15 against top 5 AP ranked opponents, period. That means if you have a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 next to your name, you're likely to beat Penn State until they show me differently. Ohio State and Michigan are also 7-1 against Penn State combined. Okay? Ohio State has treated Penn State like a rental property. That can't be true, and you be a top 5 team. How can I make you a top 5 team if you can't beat top 5 competition? But the AP probably will because Drew Aller's back, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, Dennis Denai Dennis Sutton. All these guys are going to figure into what they're doing. I think they're going to win 9-10 games. I just don't know that they're going to beat Ohio State or a top 5 team. We'll see because Oregon might be a top 5 team by the time they get there, but certainly will be a top 10 team when we expect their first real test to be in late September. Then we get to our top 2 spots. As I am really given myself some thought on this, what I think is the number one team, what I think is the number two team. You got the defending national champions in Ohio State who beat Texas in the college football playoff semifinal. Those are the two teams we're talking about, Ohio State and Texas. The teams as they were composed last year are not the teams that they are composed this year. You can make the argument that Ohio State lost more than Texas from a player and snap standpoint from last year and from a coaching continuity standpoint. Steve Sarkisian has had the same core group of assistants since he's been there. Got a special teams coordinator, offense coordinator to him, defense coordinator to him, offensive line coach who's Kyle Flood, right? You've also had guys that have grown up in the system that have chosen that haven't chosen to transfer away. They become core members of your team, and you've been able to go into the transfer portal and get guys that are just as good or better than what you were losing from that team. I'm thinking about Jack Indries, who's going to come in for Gunnar Helms, Arch Manning, who's going to step up for Quinn Ewers, CJ Baxter, who might as well be a 5-star that you're getting fresh, who hasn't touched the football in earnest in a game since Washington, Texas in 2023. Christian Clark is also back. Quintravion Wisner is the SEC's returning rusher. Ryan Wingo's apparently been popping off in practice. DeAndre Moore wants to be the best wide receiver that Texas has ever had. That's where we get to the defense with Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons on down the line. Michael Taft, Pete Kwiatkowski's going to have them ready to go. You can also say that Ohio State took the hard road to win the national championship, went through Tennessee, SEC, went through Oregon, number one team in the country and a team that had beaten them, went through Texas, went through Notre Dame, came out the other side. They returned Jeremiah Smith, who many believe is the best player in college football at any position. They returned the number 2 player in college football in Caleb Downs, regardless of position. That's one. 2 is Ryan Day still a head coach. Brian Hartline still the wide receivers coach, even as he's gotten elevated to offensive coordinator. And this is where it starts to get a little bit dicey. Brian Hartline's going to be calling the plays this year. Last year was Chip Kelly. Matt Patricia is the defensive coordinator for Ohio State this year. Last year it was Jim Knowles. Everywhere Jim Knowles has gone, they've gotten better. Can Matt Patricia continue to do that with more or less the same defense, but a similar, but a different personnel set? It's going to lose those bookends, Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, obviously. But he also is going to have Arvell Reese in the middle. Does he lose Cody Simon? Yeah, but Sonny Styles ought to make up for that. Again, you got Caleb Downs and they don't, so he's going to make up for a lot. We'll see what Edric Houston's loss could do for them too, because that defensive line is going to really need to be better in 2025 from a maturation standpoint. I think they have to get better quicker. And I also think that going up against that Texas offensive line in their week 1 opener is going to show a lot. I'm looking at the changes and I'm looking at the details and I'm looking what the AP likes to take into account versus what I like to take into account. And I say Texas at number 2, Ohio State at number 1. I think Ohio State will enter the season as the preseason number 1 team in the Associated Press's top 25. However, I think we're going to see this change at least 3 times over the course of the first 6 weeks, especially if Texas, let's say, is the number 2 when the rankings come out and they beat Ohio State. Then we'll see some jockeying. We'll see some pushing. You'll see Clemson and LSU play each other. One of those teams is going to move up. One of those teams is going to move down. And on down the line, like Miami, Notre Dame. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. We will see. But right now, I got Ohio State as the AP's number 1 and Texas as the AP's number 2.